Hello, my name is Leo and welcome to another reading of the Elder Scrolls. Today we're going to be reading The Ransom of Zarek, Ancient Tales of the Dwemer Part 1 by Morrowind. I should point out before we do start this reading, this is a series of books, although not every part actually exists, and 2 of the parts are only in Elder Scrolls Online. I will actually do book readings for those. I'm just going to read them off the wiki. I'll do that later. But for now, The Ransom of Zarek, Part 1. Jamel stood in her garden and read the letter her servant had brought to her. The banquet of joss roses in her hand... Sorry, let me try that again. The bouquet of joss roses in her hand fell to the ground. For a moment, it was as if all birds had ceased to sing, and a cloud had passed over the sky. Her carefully cultivated and structured haven seemed to flood over with darkness. "We have thy son," it read. "We will be in touch with thee shortly with our ransom demands." Zarek had never made it as far as Agon, after all. One of the brigands on the road, orcs probably, or accursed Dwemer, must have seen his well-appointed carriage and taken him hostage. Jaramel clutched at a post for support, wondering if her boy had been hurt. He was but a student, not the sort to fight against well-armed men. But had they beaten him? It was more than a mother's heart could bear to imagine. Don't tell me they sent the ransom note so quickly," called a family voice, and a familiar face appeared through the hedge. It was Zarek. Wait. Zarek's the boy, yeah, right. Jamel hurried to embrace her boy, tears running down her face. "Oh, what happened?" she cried. "I thought thou had been kidnapped." "I was," said Zarek. "3 huge soaring Nords attacked by carriage on the Voin Pass. Brothers, as I learned, named Matthias, Udian, and Kurog. Thou should have seen these men, mother. Each of them would have had trouble fitting through the front door, I can tell thee." "What happened?" Jaramil repeated. "Were they rescued?" Wait, who's talking? Zarek's talking. Okay. "I thought about waiting for that. But I knew they'd send off a ransom note, and I knew how thou does worry. So I remembered what my mentor at Agam always said about remaining calm, observing thy surroundings, and looking for thy opponent's weaknesses." Zarek grinned. "It took a while, though, because these fellows were truly monsters. And then, when I listened to them, bragging to one another, I realized that vanity was their weakness." "What did thou do?" "They had me chained to their camp in the woods not far from Kael, on a high knoll overlooking a wide river. I heard one of them, Korg, telling the others that it would take the better part of an hour to swim across the river and back. They were nodding in agreement when I spoke up. 'I could swim that river and back in 30 minutes, I said. 'Impossible,' said Korg. 'I can swim faster than a little whelp like thee.' So it was agreed that we would dive off the cliff, swim to the center island, and return. And we went to our respective rocks. As we went to our respective rocks, Korg took it upon himself to lecture me about the fine points of swimming. and the importance of synchronized movements of the arms and legs for maximum speed. How essential it was to breathe after only third or fourth stroke. Not too often to slow thyself down, but not too often to lose one's air. I nodded and agreed to all his fine points. Then we dove off the cliffs. I made it to the island and back in little over an hour. But Korg never returned. He had dashed his brains on the rocks at the base of the cliff. I had noticed the telltale undulations of underwater rocks and had taken the diving rock on the right. Clever. But thou returned, asked Jamil, astounded. Was that not when thou escaped? It was too risky to escape then, said Zarek. They could have easily caught me again, and I wasn't keen to be blamed for Korg's disappearance. I said I did not know what happened to him, and after some searching, they decided he had forgotten about the race and had swum ashore to hunt for food. They could not see how I could have anything to do with his disappearance. I was fully visible as I was throughout my swim. The two brothers began making camp along the rocky cliff edge, picking an ideal location so that I would not be able to escape. One of the brothers, Matthias, began commenting on the quality of the soil and the gradual incline of the rock that circled around the bay below. Ideal, he said, for a foot race. I expressed my ignorance of the sport, and he was keen to give me details of the proper technique of running a race. He made absurd faces, showing me how one must breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, how to bend one's knees to the proper angle on the rise, the importance of sure foot placement. Most important, he explained, was that the runner keep an aggressive but not too strenuous pace if one intends to win. It is fine to run in second place through the race, he said, provided one has the willpower and strength to pull out in the end. I was an enthusiastic student, and Matthias decided that we ought to run a quick race around the edge of the bay before night fell. Union told us to bring back some firewood when we came back. We began at once down the path, skirting the cliff below. I followed his advice about breath, gait, and foot placement. But I ran with all my power right from the start. Despite his much longer legs, I was a few paces ahead as we rounded the first corner. With my eyes on my back, Matthias did not see the gape in the rock that I jumped over. He plummeted over the cliff before he had a chance to cry out. I spent a few minutes gathering up some twigs before I returned to Odin at the camp. Now thou were just showing off, frowned Jamil. Surely that would have been a good time to escape. Thou might think so, agreed Zarek. But thou had to see the topography, thank you. A few large trees and then nothing but shrubs. Union would have noticed my absence and caught up with me in no time. And I would have had a hard time explaining Matthias's absence. However, the brief forage around the area allowed me to observe some of the trees close up, and I could formulate my final plan. When I got back to the camp with a few twigs, I told Odin that Matthias was slow coming along, dragging a large dead tree behind him. Odin scoffed at his brother's strength, saying it would take him time to pull up a live tree by the roots and drop it on the bonfire. I expressed a reasonable doubt. I'll show thee, he said, ripping up a 10-foot tall specimen effortlessly. But that's scarcely a sapling, I objected. I thought thou could rip up a tree. His eyes followed mine to a magnificent, heavy-looking one at the edge of the clearing. Odin grabbed it and began to shake it with a tremendous force to loosen its roots from the dirt. With that, he loosened the hive, from the utmost branches, dropping it down onto his head. "That was when I made my escape, Mother," said Zarek in conclusion, showing a little schoolboy pride. While Matthias and Korg were at the base of the cliff, and Union was flailing about, engulfed by a swarm. Jamil embraced her son once again. What a nice story. Publisher's note. I was reluctant to publish the works of Morrowind Soul, but when the University of Gwilyn Press asked me to edit this edition, I decided to use this as an opportunity to set the record straight once and for all. Scholars do not agree on the exact date of Morrowind Soul's work, but it is generally agreed that they were written by the playwright Gore Flynn, famous for popular comedies and romances during the interregnum between the fall of the First Cyrodiilic Empire and the rise of Tiber Septim. The current theory holds that Flynn heard a few genuine Dwemer tales and adapted them to the stage in order to make money, along with rewritten versions of many of his own plays. Gore Flynn created the persona of Morrowind Soul, who could translate the Dwemer language in order to add some sort of validity to the work and make it even more valuable to the gullible. Note that while Morrowind Soul and his works became the subject of heated controversy, there is no reliable records of anyone actually meeting Morrowind Soul, nor was there anyone of that name employed by the Mages Guild, the School of Julianus, or any other intellectual institution. In any case, the Dwemer in most of the tales of Morrowind Soul bear little resemblance to the fearsome, unfathomable. That's terrible. Give me one more try. Okay, unfathomable. Good enough. Race that frightened even the Dwemer, Nords, and Redguards into submission and built ruins that even now have yet to be understood. So, just an extra addendum to that? Yes, every single book in this entire series, this being The Ransom of Zarek, Ancient Tales of the Dwemer Part 1 by Morrowind Soul, every single part is not actually historically accurate, except for one that we will be doing, which is, I've lined them all up here for easy reading. This one. This is apparently actually real. And I don't know if it actually tells you about that. Where does it have... Oh, publisher's note. Here we go. This is one of the few tales of this collection which actually trace back to the drama. Alright, we'll read that in due time. Alrighty, well that was Ransom of Zarek, which I feel like I've read before. I need to go check if I've actually read that before, or if it's just that I've read it in Skyrim. And I mean, there's a bunch of books that I've read in Skyrim. So, yeah. But for now, my name is Leo, and I'll see you next time.